So the UN Secretary General had this to say about the Israeli-Palestine conflict and Hamas's initial attack on October 7th. This is what he had to say
Their
about it.
unprovoked attack, Jimmy. I call it.
That's right. Here we go. Listen to this.
The war in Gaza is raging and risks spiraling throughout the region. Divisions are splintering societies, tensions threaten to boil over. At a crucial moment like this, it is vital to be clear on principles, starting with the fundamental principle of respecting and protecting civilians. I have condemned unequivocally the horrifying and unprecedented 7 October acts of terror by Hamas in Israel. Nothing can justify the deliberate killing, injuring, and kidnapping of civilians or the launching of rockets against civilian targets. All hostages must be treated humanely and released immediately and without conditions. And I respectfully note the presence among us of members of their families. Excellencies, it is important to also recognize the attacks by Hamas did not happen in a vacuum.
Whoa. Whoa. Did you hear what he said? It is important to recognize that the attacks by Hamas did not happen in a vacuum. So what he's talking about is for every action, there's a reaction. But I think that's wrong. I mean, of course, if anybody knows more, Israel's one of the centers of science in the world. So
democracy in the region, Jimmy.
So they know that for every action, there's an action and then nothing. That's what they know, right? Okay, so here we go.
The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. They have seen their land steadily devoured by settlements and plagued by violence, their economy stifled, their people displaced, and their homes demolished. Their hopes for a political solution to their plight have been vanishing. But the grievances of the Palestinian people cannot justify the appalling attacks by Hamas, and those appalling attacks cannot justify the collective punishment of the Palestinian people.
Wow. So he's not calling Hamas freedom fighters, and kidnapping and killing civilians is unjustified, according to him.
Mm-hmm.
But he said it didn't happen in a vacuum. Got it. Okay, so it sounds like a real even-handed, almost a milquetoast take.
Yeah.
Right? That's what that sounds like.
Yeah.
Super even-handed.
Yeah, that's wrong. Killing is wrong. I mean, it's not even that bold of a thing to say. I wouldn't.
So Israel Foreign Minister Eli Cohen will not meet with the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres after his statement that Hamas attack did not arise out of nowhere. Israel's ambassador to the UN called on UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to resign over his statement that Hamas attacks did not occur in a vacuum. So the attacks did occur in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Does he mean the vacuum in Israeli intelligence where they ignored verified repeating warnings from both Egypt and American intelligence that an unprovoked Hamas attack was coming? Otherwise, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a vacuum in the entire corporate media of any real information related to this conflict. So I guess that's how these tragedies arise out of nowhere.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I'm hearing about this. I've been thinking about this. You know, I was wondering if women had penises for pretty much the past 7 years.
Yeah.
So for this to come up now, it's such an inopportune time.
The Israeli government accuses Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, of blood libel.
The worst kind of libel?
Of blood libel. And that unless he apologizes, he should resign immediately.
Jeez.
Now,
wait, Jimmy, I think a couple days ago I said this did happen in a vacuum, and I would like to resign from the Jimmy Dore show, effective immediately.
So blood libel usually refers to medieval accusations of Jews using the blood of Christian children to bake their matzah. Right? I mean, which is an obviously crazy lie, because if it were true, matzah would at least taste like something.
Yeah, man. There ain't no blood in that.
Right? Anyway, it's not important because turns out blood libel actually means saying that Hamas terrorist attack didn't happen in a vacuum. That's what a blood libel is now.
That's the pure, it's the pure stuff.
This is a pure blood libel, and I think that the Secretary General must resign, because from now on, every day that he is here in this building, unless he apologizes immediately, today we called him to apologize, there's no justification to the existence of this building. This building was established to prevent atrocities. How can the Secretary General, with his words, justify in any way the terrible atrocities that happened to our civilians, innocent civilians?
He did not do that. He did not do that. That he did the opposite. He said correct me if I'm wrong, he said there's no excuse and no justification for Hamas killing civilians. Well, Didn't he say that?
He said this building, if that's true though, then if what he said is not blood libel, then this building is here for nothing. And I think he is right. That building is there.
That building is there for nothing.
So
it is.
It checks out.
So now being completely even-handed in your description of what's happening is going to be called a blood libel. And do you understand why now it's just like what they called Bernie Sanders a sexist? Now, like if you're going to call Donald Trump a sexist and Bernie Sanders a sexist, then your term sexist doesn't mean anything anymore.
I consider it blood libel to call Bernie that.
You've now degraded the term sexist, and I made that point. So now everybody and everything you don't like, just like the word fascist. So now the word fascist means just someone I don't like.
Yeah.
That's all it means now in America. And so they've degraded that term to it's now meaningless. And now they're making blood libel. They've degraded that now to it's meaningless. Because what the Secretary of the UN, General of the UN just said was the most even-handed, sober, rational thing I think I've ever heard anyone say about this. And it's a blood libel, and he should step down. And all these people sitting there like, yeah, blood libel. Yeah, blood libel.
Jimmy, I just want to take a second to add this to my list of things that don't mean anything. Let's see. Vaccine, women, blood libel.
So, of course, just so you know what a blood libel actually means, it was goes back to the Middle Ages, like the joke said, but it says that the Jews would kill Christian babies and then use their blood in religious ceremonies. So clearly a calm, measured response to the UN Secretary's claim that the Hamas attack did not occur in a vacuum. That's definitely a blood libel.
Yeah. Hamas beheaded 40 babies, and you're going to blood libel?
Wow. And again, it just goes to show you the insanity that human beings are capable of. Because not only is it insane that this guy said it and then these people stand back there and nod along with it, but there are people everywhere, everywhere that would agree with that and call you an anti-Semite if you disagreed with that or if you made fun of it like we are.
Yeah, well, like I said, right, hot off the heels of Ukraine, all that hysteria about the evils of Putin.
Yeah.
It's not a great look right now.
Not a good look.
And the traditional things that would have worked, this Old Testament style, slaughter them all down to their livestock and their kids, that kind of Bible stuff. All these people are secular now. You attacked all the religious kooks here, so they're not going to back this up anymore. You called them terrorists, the religious kooks.
That's right.
That turned a blind eye to this nonsense that they're doing. You insulted them out of your coalition. So who's going to back you up now? Liberal, atheist, Jewish actors? Good luck with that.
Well, they got Sam Harris.
I call him approved copy Sam Harris.
Hey, come see us doing a live stand-up show in Bloomington, Illinois, Indianapolis, Levittown, New York, Red Bank, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, Covina, California, Burbank, California, Oxnard, California, Venice, California, and Palmdale, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.